Hello everyone, Lawrence Fleming here on another beautiful day that the Lord has made. I figure I'm getting pretty close to moving out and doing some actual camping. I've got some reservations next month, somewhere around the middle of April, and I'm going to try to combine my two channels. I had started a camping channel, and this was pre-COVID, and I had to take some time out for work before I completely retired. And then COVID hit. And when COVID hit, I looked around and realized, uh-oh, I remember some of these things that we studied about in our Bible classes. Something's not right. I looked everything back up again and realized that we are in the end times, and that's why I started this channel. Well, I want to combine the two channels. I'll stay over here, so don't worry about where the other one is. I may move a couple of my videos over here, but I'm going to start doing some camping. What better way to talk about God than to talk about Him through His creation, both with people and with the environment. And like I said before, get out and take advantage of it, because I don't know how much longer we're going to have. I'm kind of guessing. Nobody knows the day or the hour. I'll talk about that in a second. But I think that we're probably going to see the rapture this year, and I've got dates all across the gamut for this year. So I'm just going to start with the first one. I guarantee I'm going to be right, because I'm going to pick every day. And then when it gets here, I can say, see, I told you. Just forget about all the other days that I was wrong. All right. Our scripture today, I want to talk about the prophecy of the generation that sees all these things will see the return. Let's turn to Matthew 24:34. And we're getting this directly from Jesus. Actually, we're going to start at 32 because context is always important. Now learn this parable from the fig tree. When its branches already become tender and puts forth leaves, you know that summer is near. So you also, when you see all these things, know that it is near, at the doors. Surely I say to you, this generation will by no means pass away till all these things take place. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will by no means pass away. And then it goes into but of that day and hour no one knows, not even the angels in heaven, but my Father only. We're back to the wedding reference about Him coming back. He's going to prepare a place and He'll be back. But no one knows the hour but the Father. Parallel to the wedding. There's so many parallels to the wedding. It doesn't have to match exactly time-wise. It's unlikely that we're going to be raptured and begin feasting when the world's being destroyed. That's not a time to celebrate. But there will be a wedding feast. We're just going to arrive early. And when the other Christians join us, then there'll be a feast. We might have a battle in between, but there will eventually be a feast. Okay, and when we talk about this generation, you want to turn to Psalm 90:10. And this is going to be Moses talking. Now he's doing a lot of general talking, but he starts off with, in verse 10, the days of our lives are 70 years, and if by reason of strength they are 80 years. So a generation is 70 to 80 years. That's when we know we're going to see this generation that witnesses all these things not pass away, for this generation. Israel became a nation May 14th, 1948. Now it wasn't complete. It got the remaining boundaries that it needed, including Jerusalem, in the 67 war. That was where it should have started, and they should have kept growing, but instead our government got in and messed things up. We convinced them to give away the Gaza Strip because the Muslims or the people in charge said, if you give us that, we'll have peace. We haven't had peace. They lied to us. They're playing Charlie Brown and Lucy in the football. And we keep running full steam at the football and going to kick it, and she's pulling it away. I hope you remember that reference. It was funny. But we keep doing that, and they keep doing it. I think finally they said no more and wouldn't take our advice. Our previous administration recognized Jerusalem as the capital. The current administration tried to set up a Muslim embassy in the Muslim quarter. Every time they gave away land, we paid for it. And they gave away Gaza. I think it was Katrina that we got hit with. There's a book out. I can't remember who it was. I've seen it in the bookstores, Christian bookstores. 100 and some odd things that we've done against Israel and what we've paid for when that happened. Now it may have been, it may have been Bush that gave away the Gaza, but everybody's given away something. And now Russia says that Israel doesn't have the right to inhabit the Golan Heights. They got that for a reason. It was a buffer to Syria, who was launching rockets from the hilltop, the Golan Heights. It's high, launching rockets from there down into the valley below. So they took it over, and it's made things a little safer. They've got longer range rockets now. Iran is sending more and more long-range smart rockets, not dumb ones that they just launch in bottle rockets and hope they make it. They've got actually computer-controlled rockets, guidance-type rockets. They don't have the nukes yet, but with us twiddling our thumbs while Rome burns, Iran is continuing to develop high-grade uranium so that they can get a bomb. And there's some experts that say they may have enough for one right now. But if you're going to launch one and you're going to have 100 coming back at you, you'd better have more than one, because you're going to need it. If you're going to go that far, you better have more than one, and they know it. We were concerned during World War II that we really only had two, with a third one not quite ready, but almost ready. If they had refused to surrender after two, we'd have had to do some tap dancing to launch the third one. But then that would have been it. If they'd known that, they might have held out and refused to surrender. So the nuclear powers know that. That's why we have hundreds. Russia has, thousands. We used to have parity. We used to be equal until our various administrations decided, well, we're going to get rid of some of them. We've had peace because of strength. Peace is leaving us now because we're acting weak. Again, these guys are puppets. It doesn't matter who they put in there. The Democrats appointed someone to be in there. Biden being president is kind of a reward for him towing the line for 50 years. Yeah, he's getting a bit senile, as a lot of them are. We need to have some younger blood in there. But we're not going to get it because they're not going to give up their power base. God's going to rip it out of their hands, believe me. Anyhow, we are the generation that will see the return. Now, are we talking about the rapture, or are we talking about the second coming? I frankly think that we're talking about the second coming, and that has to do also with no one knows the day or the hour, but we are to know the season. As the fig tree season, we know the season. We just don't know the day or the hour, but that's again talking about the second coming, and that's really all the references that we have. Jesus was talking to his disciples Jesus, being a Jew, was talking to his Jewish disciples. And when the 70th day kicks off, we're going to be back on the Jewish calendar. I've said before, this is the first year in many years that we're on the same relative time frame. As I've said before, we adjust our time that's not exact by having a leap year. We're on a solar year, and the Jews use a lunar calendar. So they just had their 30-day adjustment where we only have 1 or 2 days. They had a 30-day adjustment, so we're on the same calendar. Last year we will not. It was over almost a month over. If you looked at the lunar cycles and it predicts things happening, it predicts them on a lunar cycle. And things didn't line up last year because of the calendar. This year, everything is lining up. It would be the better year of the two to have things start off. I believe the Antichrist is alive and well and out there. He's going to try to be Christ. That's the anti. I talked about that in the last video. He's going to try to be Christ. He's going to go to the temple and expect to be worshipped. So he's going to be very instrumental in getting the temple built so that he can go there and pretend to be Christ. He's going to have miracles. There's going to be a couple on God's side, and that's the two witnesses. And these three are going to battle it out, and the Antichrist is going to die. He's going to raise himself back up from the dead and kill the two witnesses. And 3 days later, they're going to be raised from the dead. We're not going to be here. The whole world is going to be in awe seeing miracles like that, if that doesn't encourage them to pay attention. So they're going to be waiting and looking for the Christ, and the Antichrist is going to show up. He's ready to take the claim to that seat, and they're not going to know any better. They will eventually. All right, we've got a lot of stuff coming up here shortly. I frankly am not concerned, but wondering whether or not I should even plan my camping trip the middle of April. The New Year's at the beginning of April. When's it going to happen? When are we going to be raptured? It's exciting times, and there's no reason to be afraid. Sure, we're getting a chance to see a little bit of what's coming. The birth pangs, the wars, the rumors of wars, the pestilence, the big C, which I don't want to say on this video. And now we're seeing lies spread everywhere. When Jesus was asked about the end times, the first thing he warned about was false prophets, lies. They're everywhere, and people believe these lies. And they're acting on them, and they're telling everybody else about these lies. It's spreading fast. Pretty soon, someone's going to come up with the idea that Christians are the whole reason for all the problems we're having. I think if we get rid of the Christians, it'd be a better world. Now, I'm assuming we're going to be out of here by that time. But we've got to wait it out, so be ready. Store up on food. You don't need a bomb shelter, but store up on food to be ready. And stay watching. Watch some of the news, but so much of it's lies. Try to find the truth in there somewhere. There are people online that are telling the correct truth. And I've mentioned before, whether it's Tom Hughes or Jack Hibbs. Oh, and Dr. Barry Ah came up with another video, an updated timeline. Go check them out. Amir Safati's traveling and teaching. They've opened up Israel. If you think you can squeeze in there before the Magog War, get over there now. It's not going to be there too much longer. All right, I'm rambling at this point in time. We're the generation that's going to see the end. Are we all going to live long enough to see it? Well, it doesn't say that. It just says the generation. 70 to 80 years. We're 74 years into this right now. Move 7 years in advance, and you can see where we're at. because we don't know the rapture date, but we do know, I believe, the second coming, which is towards the end. And it says the days were shortened. Otherwise, there wouldn't be anyone left. They may have shortened the 7 years. Think about that. Okay, we're going to be meeting in the clouds shortly. You have a great week. I hope you're not too tired from our lack of sleep, losing an hour. I suggest we lose an hour every day until we get back to where we should be. This is what happens when the government puts something in place for a good reason and then doesn't want to give it up. Some states actually ignore the federal government and don't honor it. Good for them. Again, until we meet in the skies, God bless.